There is no country on earth that can be saved or taken back despite the absolute deterioration of the third world coming into the first world, unless you have people with a warrior mentality that are willing to make sacrifices and make difficult decisions for the betterment of the future. So, for example, when I think of the future for my future kids, my future family, and my future bloodline, I become very motivated to make some changes and to make some sacrifices for them, because I've accepted I'm not going to reap the benefits in my lifetime, but it can afterwards that. Right? And I hear a bunch of you beta males, you liberal women, and you liberal feminist men, yes, you conservative simps. Well, now is not a good time to bring anybody into the world. Look what's going on. It has never been a good time to have kids. Are you telling me that your ancestors during the Dark Ages, from the years 1000 to 1400, said, gee, this is good. There's no advancement. Nothing improved for 400 years. When your ancestors were having kids in WW1, was that a good time? What about WW2? Is that a good time? There has never been a good time to be having kids and be having a family over the course of human history. But you and I are the byproduct of our ancestors who, despite what was happening in the world at the time, consistently, time after time again, were willing to reproduce, to have kids, to give another chance, another at bat. I may not see a better world in my lifetime, but for my future kids, here's one more chance. For the family name, for the bloodline, for our legacy, do something with this opportunity. Because if you don't have kids, all the work of my ancestors previously is for nothing, completely useless. So this is how I look at it. And when the day comes, when the country is ready for a revolution, to turn things back around, to turn the ship around, and to have the elites respect the average person, I'll be there on the front lines, prepared to make sacrifices and prepared to be punished by Mark Carney and the boys for the sacrifices that I'm willing to make for the betterment of my future family. That is the mentality that I have. I would describe that as a warrior mentality. Now, to talk about a warrior mentality, we have to talk about some of the biggest parasites in society. This is going to be a sensitive subject. Now, there are three classes of people that I believe should not be voting because they are what has been used to bring in this deterioration of our culture and our beautiful country. Number one, this is kind of common sense at this point. Like, if you don't see this, you're part of the problem. Women should not be voting. Women are extremely sensitive to emotions. They are extremely empathetic. And the elites and the powers that be have used this to use those beautiful traits that they have to bring in the welfare state, to bring in the endless third world immigration, to bring in these thugs and this deterioration of life. Right? And on top of the fact that Justin Trudeau and his father told them, hey, it's very empowering for you to go on birth control, aka sterilize yourself, and then also headshot your future kids. I keep saying this stat. It is absolutely mind-boggling. And this is on Stats Canada, let alone what's actually happening. Since the year 2000, there have been 3.3 million abortions in Canada and 8.1 million newborns. That is over 25% of all pregnancies in this country being headshotted by their own mothers. Absolutely insane. For those reasons, they should not be voting. Also, on top of that, single moms is another one. Single moms is like level 10 of the women should not be voting thing, because if you cannot pick, first off, if you have reproduced and become a single mom, by definition, you have either A, picked the wrong man, or B, blown up the family. There is no other options. Those are the only two things that could have happened. And by definition, by exactly that, you do not have a good sense of judgment. You are not very good at critical thinking and decision making because you have blown up a family with a good man or picked a dirtbag to reproduce with. Either or, you should not have any influence on the future of the country. And I've said this before, the sooner we as men start shaming single moms and make it a stereotype again of if you are a single mom, you're going to be shunned from the dating market, you're going to have a bad time, there will be no simp to pick up the tab and clean up the mess, the cleanup guy as we call it here, of the mess of you partying in your 20s, having all the endless fun, and then 29, 30, 31 rolls around, I need a guy that's just good enough to clean up the mess. Or, also, if you've had the kids and now are like, oh, I'm going to go back on the market and find somebody better and pick up the tab from some other simp. No, should not be voting. The third, this may shock some people. First two didn't. Fat people. Fat people should not be voting, and I'll tell you why. Being fat and or in shape is the really only thing left in this world that you cannot buy. You cannot buy your way to six-pack abs. You cannot buy your way to broad shoulders and a narrow waist. You cannot buy your way to losing all your fat. You have to do the work. You cannot be a fat slob. And there is something so instinctual. I know society has tried to beat it out of you, but the reality is, if you're in a room with me, you and I, quiet one-on-one, we're both agreeing, fat people are not respectable. Even if they won the 4th of July hot dog eating contest, you are still not respectable. And the reason being, our ancestors, when they came over and were trying to settle the West, or back over in Europe, dodging the plague, and like I said, the Dark Ages, if they had 2 to 4 good meals a week, it's a pretty good week. When you are as fat as the average person in Canada and North America is, like the average woman is 185 pounds. The average woman is not 6'5" like me. The average woman is only 50 pounds lighter than me. That is insane. Absolutely unacceptable. And being fat is unacceptable because it is the most simple of human disciplines that is required to do that. It's literally doing nothing. If you want to stop being fat, just do nothing. Stop putting food in your face. Stop having your snack. Stop having your 8 a.m. Oh, I gotta have my morning coffee. Your venti frappuccino with 900 grams of sugar. Your Tim Hortons ice cap. 9 a.m. rolls around. Oh, gotta have breakfast. 10 a.m. Oh, gotta have a snack. Oh, I guess it's 11. Time for lunch. Like, stop eating. You don't need to eat fatty. You just need some water. You could go 4 weeks, all you fat people, without eating. You'll be fine. And no soda. No diet soda either. And here's the thing. I know some people in the comment section are going to be like, this isn't very nice. Shut up. I'll tell you why. When you are fat, you have higher estrogen levels. There's a reason why women have a higher body fat percentage on average than men, because they store fat in much different places. They also have higher estrogen levels. When you, as a man, who is supposed to be the warrior class of tomorrow, it's men who will take back the country, not women. When women go and protest for LGBTQ alphabet soup rights or the ability to have endless free abortions, which they love to vote for, it's an inconvenience. Nothing is actually happening. It is men that are willing to be violent and take back the country. That is what actually makes changes. You look at every revolution in history, that is what has happened. If you're going to be a warrior with that mindset, have you ever seen a movie with a gladiator, with a warrior with man boobs? I have never seen it. How can you be a warrior and be respect-worthy when you have tits? When you have boobs bigger than most women? Unacceptable. And you look like a spilt-over muffin top with too much batter in the tin. My God, like Doug Ford. You're going to have the higher estrogen levels when you're fatter. Right? You cannot be as in shape. It is so human instinct to not respect fat people because of that. And have you also noticed, I noticed this recently, has anybody noticed that fat people think they know everything about anything and everything? I was having lunch a couple weeks ago, and this one gentleman and I were having a conversation, and he says to me, what are you doing after this? And I said, I'm going to go for a walk, go for a little hike in the woods and whatnot. He said, you should have a pager. I said, why is that? He's like, well, what if you fall and get injured? Nobody's going to be there to help you. And I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, unless one of us is running to go find a Twinkie in the woods, we'll probably be fine. I could also be strong, right? Muscle density, bone mass, that's going to probably prevent a lot of that, as opposed to if you're fat and you're breathing like crazy, like, I get so I get so annoyed by fat people when they start breathing like, dude, you are fat. You need to lose the weight. The point being, this dude was legitimately, not a word of a lie, 350. Might have even been pushing 400. Like, this dude wears a quadruple, maybe even a 5XL shirt. And he's trying to tell me that I should be worried about my health. Here's another example. Fat people think they know everything. During the scamdemic, during COVID, who did you hear from the most of people? I'm not going to get the jabby. I'm not putting that stuff in my body. I don't want to put poison in my body as they're downing their third Coke of the day, and it's not even 9 a.m., and they crack open a Pop-Tart. Like, dog, come on. You have put things 10,000 times worse than that in your body. And they think they know that. Oh, I know how to lose weight. I have a great nutrition guide. I know how to lose weight. Then why are you 300 pounds if you know all this? I have a great exercise routine. This is how you bench press properly. This is how... No, you don't. Fat people think they know everything. And I find it so frustrating. I've told the story before. I've been looking around, noticing how fat everybody is. And even the people that are just normally fat and slightly overweight, like skinny fat, that doesn't even register in my mind anymore as fat, because they are just the average compared to the people that literally look like bowling balls, like bowling pins. Just fat, just butter, melted on a hot summer's day. It's disgusting. Like, where is your discipline? Where is your pride? On top of that, too, think about this. When you see somebody that's that fat, and they're kind of like walking with a little bit of a limp, and they got everything just spilling out, that is years, decades of mismanagement, of overeating, overindulging, neglecting yourself. Guarantee last time this guy drank water was a decade ago. You haven't been near a vegetable in about 25 years, right? Not sleeping. Not like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. That's why when you see somebody in shape, you're like, okay, this guy's disciplined. He has to be disciplined. You can't be in shape without being disciplined. When you see a fat slob, no matter how smart, no matter how intelligent, even if you won the 4th of July hot dog eating contest and you know how to crush hot dogs and glizzies, you're still not going to be respectable, right? Years of mismanagement. years of overeating and just no pride, right? To even look at the mirror and be self-aware enough to say, I deserve better. My family deserves better. My future kids deserve better. My ancestors made so many sacrifices down the bloodline, 1900s, 1800s, 1700s, to the Dark Ages. All throughout time, you are the result of all these people reproducing. And they have made so many sacrifices for you. For you to just sit there and be fat and have no self-respect, no pride, no honor for your family name. Are you kidding me? Absolutely baffles me that people find this acceptable. And you know what? Myron Gaines, Fresh and Fit. I remember he was on Jubilee. Jubilee has some great stuff. He said in one of the Jubilee episodes that the first thing he would do as president is to have a fat concentration camp. Now, before all you liberals get up in arms about, oh my God, shut up. Concentration camp in the sense of concentrating on losing weight. A camp where we are going to focus solely on diet and exercise. You need to stop being fat. You need to be, you don't even have to be athletic. You just have to be capable of exercise, of free thought. How are we ever going to take back the country otherwise? Anyway, do you agree? Do you disagree? Become a channel member for 99 cents. You support the content creation like this and get access to all my videos that are scheduled, already ready to go live, ready for your viewing pleasure. As always, people, comment section. Use it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Was there something that I hit the nail on the head with? Is there something that you would add? I read all the comments. I respond to the good ones. I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.